100 years of eruption turned this land into a burning wound on the planet's surface, a place where the ground never cools and the sky never clears. Rivers of lava replaced rivers of water, carving glowing scars across the earth while ash clouds drift endlessly, smothering everything beneath a suffocating red haze. Day and night blurred together under a dark crimson horizon, where the sun is only a pale ghost behind smoke and nothing familiar seems to belong anymore. But nature refuses to surrender, and even here, in the heart of destruction, evolution quietly begins to rewrite the rules of life itself. The air is heavy with heat and poison, scorching lungs and eyes, choking anything that still breathes ordinary air or clings to the memory of a cooler world. Only creatures that can wear the volcano as armor, turning fire from enemy into shield, have any chance of surviving this relentless century of flame. The ground groans with every distant eruption, rolling thunder through the stone, shaping a new, unforgiving world where only the toughest can endure. Every crack in the rock hides heat, every shifting shadow flickers with moving fire, and every step forward feels like walking inside a furnace. This is not just a natural disaster, it is the beginning of a new era of beasts, born from pressure, fire, and merciless time. In the middle of this burning century, something enormous is learning how to survive, rising slowly from generations that refuse to die. Not by escaping the lava, not by hiding underground, but by accepting the fire and becoming part of it, body and bone. Its story begins deep under the crust, where heat and pressure never stop, where rock melts and reforms in a constant violent cycle. Here, ancient bloodlines are forced to adapt or vanish forever, each generation pushed closer to the edge of what life can endure. And from those that endure longest, a single titan slowly takes shape, carrying the scars and strength of 100 failed attempts. If any eyes were left to witness it, they would one day call this creature, in fear and awe, the Fire Colossus. Long before it became a legend whispered in the smoke, the Fire Colossus began as something small, fragile, and almost forgettable. It was born from animals that once fled from heat, but could no longer escape it when fire swallowed the last of their safe ground. Each generation lived closer to the lava, inch by inch, until retreat was no longer possible, and survival demanded transformation, not flight. Their skin thickened, layer by painful layer, fusing with minerals from volcanic dust until flesh and stone became almost the same thing. What began as ordinary scales turned slowly into plates of rough rock, dark and cracked, like cooled magma, clinging tightly to muscle. Beneath those plates, rivers of blood learned to carry heat away from the heart and brain, protecting the organs that could never burn. Its lungs adapted to filter ash, pulling thin threads of oxygen from poisoned, superheated air that would kill other creatures in seconds. Its eyes shrank behind bony ridges and thick lids, built to stare through dense smoke, burning light, and eruptions that flash like lightning. Muscles grew dense and heavy, powerful enough to push through half-molten rock and stand where the ground is never fully solid. Each failure, each death in this harsh experiment, became a brutal lesson written slowly into its evolving DNA, generation after generation. Over time, the weak burned away and their bones vanished under lava. Only the stubborn, heat-born survivors remained to carry the line forward. Deep within this brutal classroom of fire and stone, a single lineage adapted further than all the others, growing stranger yet more efficient. It grew larger, slower, more deliberate in every movement, wasting nothing, fearing nothing, conserving energy in a world that drains strength. The volcano was no longer its enemy. It had become its home, its camouflage, its shield, and ultimately its greatest weapon. This is how a catastrophe that should have ended life instead carved and forged the body of a colossus. At first, you do not truly see the Fire Colossus at all. You only feel its presence moving through the bones of the earth. The ground trembles in long, heavy waves, not like a sharp quake, but like the slow breathing of something huge buried beneath the crust. Lava rivers bend and curve around an invisible obstacle, flowing like water around a stone so large that no one ever noticed it move. Then, through shifting curtains of smoke, a ridge of black rock that seemed ordinary for years suddenly begins to rise and tilt. What looks like part of a cliff slowly lifts from the ground and exhales, sending a deep gust of shimmering heat into the poisoned air. Cracks of orange light appear across its armor, glowing like molten scars, pulsing softly as thick blood carries fire through its body. Each massive breath sends waves of heat rolling across the valley like an invisible tide, warping the very air around its silhouette. Its head emerges next, shaped like a jagged boulder carved by centuries of eruptions, eyes burning dim and steady beneath heavy ridges. This is not a creature built for speed or graceful movement. It is built for survival in constant fire, where patience beats quick reflexes. With each slow step forward, the earth crunches, sinks, and warps beneath its crushing weight, leaving deep imprints in half-cooled lava. Lava splashes against its legs and chest, clinging for a moment before hardening into new layers of armor fused to older stone. Ash coats its back in thick blankets, forming a moving hill of black dust laced with glowing red cracks that never fully cool. To distant eyes, it is almost indistinguishable from the landscape itself, just another twisted ridge rising from the volcanic plain. But up close, every stone plate breathes, flexes, and shifts with living precision, and every glowing seam follows the rhythm of a heartbeat. The Fire Colossus has finally surfaced, and for the first time, the volcano seems to wear a single, slow, deliberate heartbeat of its own. The Fire Colossus does not hunt in the way other predators do in forests or oceans. It does not chase its prey across open ground, and it never wastes energy sprinting or striking wildly at shadows. It waits and lets the world come to it, trusting time, weight, and hunger to bring victims close enough to be claimed. Smaller heat-adapted creatures shelter near the lava, believing that the burning rivers scare away anything larger and more dangerous. They hide beneath cooled rock shelves and dark ledges, unaware that some of those ledges are not rock at all but the armor of a sleeping giant. When the Colossus finally moves, whole sections of apparent ground rise, tilt, and split open, turning safe hiding places into deadly traps. Fissures appear beneath scrambling claws, and terrified creatures tumble into cracks or directly toward the Colossus' slow, waiting jaws. It uses weight, heat, and patience instead of speed or stealth, letting gravity and fear do most of the work in silence. Each movement is deliberate and measured, designed to conserve precious energy in a burning world where every breath already costs so much. It drinks from pools of semi-melted minerals, lowering its mouth into glowing pits and absorbing both intense heat and trace nutrients. Steam rises from its body in thick curtains whenever cooler winds manage to sweep through the valley and brush its heated armor. Its footsteps redraw the map, leaving craters, folded ridges, and diverted lava channels that permanently alter the shape of the land. Even other adapted beasts keep their distance, sensing pressure, vibration, and the deep rumble of a creature too large to challenge. Here, size is not just a symbol of power. It is insulation, endurance, and dominance in a world that punishes anything small and fragile. The Fire Colossus is not the fastest, not the cleverest, but it is the last thing that ever truly grows tired. And in this place that is enough. In a world that burns almost forever, the creature that tires last, and keeps rising when others fall, quietly becomes king. But no era, no matter how violent, is allowed to last forever on a restless planet like this. After 100 relentless years, the eruptions begin to slow, one by one, as the deep chambers empty their rage. The rivers of lava harden into long black scars stretching across the land, like frozen lightning strikes carved into stone. Ash falls less often, and thin shafts of real sunlight slowly return to the sky, turning red clouds into muted gold. The Fire Colossus feels the change first, not as a gift, but as a new kind of threat creeping into its bones. Cooler air steals heat from its body faster than it can generate it, draining the fire that once gave it endless strength. The rock plates that once protected it now radiate warmth away, acting like cooling fins instead of armor, betraying the body beneath. The world that forged it, shaped it, and made it unbeatable is disappearing piece by piece, cooling into a place built for something else. It moves toward the last active vents, dragging its massive frame across hardened flows, clinging to shrinking pockets of surviving heat. Each day, the ground grows a little colder, steam thins, and its breath fogs faintly in the cooling air that gathers above the vents. Here, at the very edge of its dying era, the Fire Colossus becomes a relic in real time, too specialized for a world that is moving on. Somewhere above the quieting volcanoes, winds are growing stronger, swirling and rising, gathering power for a new and different age. Lightning begins to crawl across, forming storm fronts, sketching bright veins across dark clouds and hinting at predators built for the sky. The lava century is finally ending, its fire dimming, its titans slowing, making room for storms and creatures that dance with the wind. And as one ancient giant fades with the cooling stone, another kind of titan waits inside the rising storm, ready to claim the next apocalypse.